LeBron James shows up. For more than 15 years, this has been a constant. He's never had a major injury, never undergone major surgery. And even after he strained his groin against the Warriors last night, that pattern is holding. This morning, the Lakers announced that LeBron's MRI has come back clean. The injury is not serious. It'll just be categorized as day-to-day. We even got this tweet from LeBron. Quote, "Dodged a bullet. Sheesh. Sheesh. Prayers to the almighty above. Hashtag back in no time." And we shouldn't be surprised because this is LeBron. He plays through aches, pains, ankle rolls. Last night's game against the Warriors marked his 156th straight, including playoffs, which for those of you counting at home means he had gone 622 days without his team walking onto the floor without him. And even back when that did happen, it was just for rest on the final day of the regular season a couple years ago. Honestly, that's why last night was so startling to begin with. You can see him reach for the ball after briefly losing his handle against Draymond, and you can see him grimace there. And then as he came off the court, you can lip read him telling his longtime athletic trainer, Mike Mancias, quote, "I felt a pop," which if you're a Laker fan, that's not what you want. Nor were LA fans happy with what followed. After LeBron hobbled to the locker room, the Warriors launched a 17-3 run to turn what had been a drubbing into a 2-point game. In fact, it seemed like a typical Warriors third quarter tidal wave until first Rajon Rondo and then Lance Stevenson stepped in to dam things up. Oh, yes.
With clipboards, apparently.
Yeah, you knew it was coming. Show the people. We got air guitar Lance with he put a little Elvis flavor on it for the holiday, right? That was lovely. That's what we'll call it for the kids. It was enough of a kickback in the other direction that the Lakers were able to regroup for another roll, and when it was all over, they had their most impressive win of the season, a 26-point thrashing of the two-time defending champs on Christmas Day in one of the toughest arenas in the league, and they did it without having LeBron for about a third of the game. So now what? Well, the Lakers play the Kings tomorrow and have already announced LeBron isn't going to make that trip. And clearly, the team knows it needs to be careful because even minor groin injuries are tricky. There is such a risk of re-injury. Just last night, LeBron said he initially tried to play through things, but overextended the muscle a second time by staying out on the floor. Certainly, the Warriors were cautious when Steph Curry suffered a groin injury earlier this season. He missed 11 games. Now, groin injuries, of course, come in a range of severity. LeBron's doesn't seem as bad. And also keep in mind that the Warriors, who have 3 other All-Stars, have the luxury of Steph missing 11 games, as opposed to the Lakers, who have exactly 0 other All-Stars besides LeBron, and could easily drop out of playoff contention in a stretch like that. Still, here's the thing. Even if LeBron doesn't miss too much time, last night should be a wake-up call for LA's front office. LeBron is turning 34 in just a couple days. As the Lakers make their plans for the next few seasons, or even for the next few weeks before the February 7th trade deadline, as they weigh when it might be smart to give up assets to acquire more talent versus just waiting for free agency, they need to remember they are on a clock that is running more quickly than just the normal pace of a team trying to rebuild itself toward contention. Yes, LeBron has been one of the most durable players in the history of the NBA. But as anyone who has been through their mid-30s can attest, he is now at an age when the body simply doesn't endure quite as easily as it used to, no matter who you are. Or to put it more simply, just because LeBron has always shown up doesn't mean he will be able to forever. So, Amin, as you watched that game from the studio here last night, what did LeBron leaving make an impression on you? And then the way the Lakers played afterward, in terms of when you take all of that into account, what they should do going forward into this next 6 weeks?
Well, I mean, first of all, you got to say this is why they brought in Rajon Rondo and Lance Stevenson, right? The idea is that, particularly with Rondo, that when something like this happens and you have this kind of huge tidal wave that happens afterward, there's a notion for young players to panic. And I don't mean panic like, oh, no, we're going to lose, but panic by trying to hashtag do too much.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Doing too much, right? And so having a guy like Rondo who's not only been there, but also as a playmaker, as a facilitator, can just calm everybody down and say, guys, it's all right. We're going to get to our spots and we're going to keep playing our style. We're not going to overextend ourselves. That's huge. Moving forward, obviously, Rachel, I mean, I feel like you. I saw him go to the locker room. I said, oh, that don't look good. And, you know, in your ear, you start hearing, oh, Father Time's undefeated. Like he stayed away for a long time, but he's creeping. And so, a good thing is they've got a bunch of lineups that they've ran about 20 minutes a piece throughout the season, and most of them are overwhelmingly positive without LeBron out there.
Right.
And so they just have to kind of lean on that, lean on their young stars to take that step forward, but also not overextend them.
A couple of things I think is that I literally said on this show, Lance Stephenson's name should be break in case of emergency,
yes,
break glass in case of emergency. And here we are. This is an emergency situation. I also think that this is a situation where, as Amin pointed out, the young guys can now kind of flourish here, particularly Brandon Ingram, who has struggled alongside LeBron. You guys had the splits up just, 10 days ago?
Yep.
They're not pretty when he's on the floor with LeBron as opposed to when he's off, when LeBron's off the floor. Yep. So I think that this gives Brandon an opportunity to get some Brandon time. And
He's a little me time on the court.
Hey, look, Spo used to do this all the time.
Yeah.
I've said that Luke should stagger them some, to be honest with you, to give Brandon some of that time. But I think that this will be beneficial for Brandon Ingram because he can kind of grow back into the guy that he was being groomed to be, which was a #1 option. And it doesn't help that it could maybe potentially help his trade value.
Is he groomed to be a #1 option? Is he being groomed to be a #1 trade piece?
Groomed to be a #1 option somewhere else.
Who could say?